This episode of Filmhouse is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy today at expressvpn.com/film.
Hey everybody, welcome to Filmhouse. We are back with a Christmas spectacular. We're doing the best Christmas movie bracket.
The bracket is the best idea to ever happen to this podcast.
It is. The bracket decides all.
Yes.
And we respect and we honor the bracket.
We honor the bracket, no matter how unqualified we are to determine the bracket.
Mm-hmm. And so we're tackling best holiday movies, and we had to bring in the big guns, the experts, the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. That is Zach Anner and Josh Flanagan. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks so much for having me in my home.
I think, is it what actually happened that both of them independently reached out to you and said, how can we get on one of those bracket shows?
Yeah, they said we love the brackets.
Love the brackets, big fan of the brackets.
How can we do it? They both look quite festive.
Mm-hmm. I think you picked the right two people for this.
Yeah, we love Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew that about Josh because Josh gets really sad when Christmas doesn't go his way.
It's true.
I'm Team Josh on this.
If the presents aren't doled out correctly, then Josh gets very, very upset.
Yeah.
And Zach, how do you prove your love of Christmas?
I just start with the Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack in early October, and I play it every day, and then I'm just, to myself, I'm always singing Muppet Christmas Carol. Okay. And really, I feel like my whole being is sort of bringing the Christmas spirit to the world. Like, that's my vibe.
Okay.
It's like, hey, every day is Christmas. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No one else
Josh,
feels
can you top
way,
that?
I guess. What?
Well, I mean, that's his song is Charlie Brown. My song is Where Are You Christmas from the movie Grinch, because, again, people mess up the gifting. And here's the thing. It's not about the materialism, but my love language is gifts. You know this.
I know this.
Yeah,
certainly not.
You get us great gifts.
Yeah, I try. It's a talent and
Josh
a craft.
is a great giver.
He's a great giver.
It's almost oppressive how great he is.
You say oppressive.
No. Great. I'll never live up to this.
There's been a lot of controversy in my family lately because they've wanted to switch to this lottery gift system,
like a Secret Santa.
Secret Santa, where you can only give one person in your whole family a gift. It has to be under a certain threshold money, and that ain't me. I had to respectfully bow out. This happened in real time. I was at the Willems on their couch as usual. Yep. And this, they got to watch it.
We got to watch the meltdown.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually you who put the song "Where Are You Christmas" in my head because you wouldn't stop playing it.
I put it on the Google Home because you were curled up on the couch, so sad.
Tears in his eyes
because people were trying to ruin your Christmas. Yeah. And I was like, "Well, where is Christmas? Do we know where it is for Josh?"
We don't.
But why would you do that? Like, why would you make Santa unhappy? Santa just wants to give joy, and you're taking his joy,
He's not Santa.
and he spreads the joy. You're just there, guys. We can't have Christmas like this anymore.
Fun fact
Josh has put a firm line in the snow that Christmas is about gifts.
A firm yellow line.
You will see this reflected in my movie choices. Christmas is a commercial holiday. Let's not lose sight of that.
Well,
yes, true.
Thank you for being here. That is the gift to us. Let's break down the bracket. We've got 15 movies aligned on this bracket right now and one honorable mention spot. Now, this is new to the bracket, and here's why. There were so many Christmas holiday movies that we wanted to include that we couldn't decide and pick them all. So I thought the only fair way to do this would be to create this one empty spot that we spent the first 2 minutes, or the first 10 minutes of this podcast bickering over
it's like
what
Battle
goes
Royale.
in there. Yeah.
Just to get into the bracket.
We have to decide what this last spot is going to be.
Boy, oh boy.
And here are the honorable mentions. There might be some that I didn't include in this list. Die Hard, Jingle Jangle, anything from Shane Black, The Apartment, Little Women, Best Man Holiday, The Holiday, The Apartment, Frosty the Snowman, Jingle Jangle again,
Wait, why is
I wrote it twice.
The apartment is also written twice as well.
Meet me in St. Louis. Black Christmas. While you were sleeping, the Santa Claus. The Polar Express. The Santa Claus 2. Mixed Nuts. The Family Stone. The Santa Claus 3. Santa Claus is coming to town.
What about Krampus?
Krampus could be on there too, yeah. So I'm going to start the clock. It's 11:01 right now, which means we have 10 minutes to 11:11. Make a wish to decide who we want in this honorable mention spot.
Great. Perfect. Should we begin?
Zach, what?
No.
Yeah, does anyone feel
okay.
passionately about one of these?
I have a passionate pitch. So much that my voice cracked as a 36-year-old man that I want When Harry Met Sally to be included. I know it's not something that people often think of as a Christmas movie, but I watched it recently, and it is just the perfect Christmas film. Has everyone seen this?
Not in a while. I know that they celebrate New Year's together, right?
They celebrate New Year's, but the whole movie has that sort of Christmas warmth and that unique sort of loneliness that you feel around Christmas when you're single that I've felt my entire life. And I just think it's a beautiful film that fills you with joy and also the fact that, love is out there. And I think that's an important Christmas, whatever.
It's a sentiment. It's a good sentiment. Yeah.
That's the word. Sentiment.
Well, I hear Zach and what he's saying. They never play, when they talk about Harry Met Sally, they don't talk about the Christmas scene, the scene where Sally was pretending to give presents. They just only show her having orgasms in the restaurant, faking orgasms.
What's more,
and so to me, it doesn't feel very Christmas.
Like a fake orgasm.
You have to dig for
Nothing.
it. You have to dig for the Christmas aspect of it.
The greatest
It
gift a woman
Christmas
can give a
to
man is to feign an orgasm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are we in agreement?
No, we're not in agreement.
No.
I think that when you have stuff like The Santa Claus on here, which is a very Christmas movie, centered entirely around the concept of Christmas.
And a fun premise.
And the very fun Christmas-oriented premise, there's no way I could comfortably go with Harry Met Sally. Even something like Die Hard, which the setting is Christmas and not New Year's.
That doesn't feel like Christmas.
It doesn't feel like Christmas because it's Los Angeles, but it only takes place around Christmas time. No other holidays are present in that whole movie.
It's supposed to magically shift to St. Patrick's Day in an hour and a half?
Well,
it's real time.
But we're talking about Harry Met Sally, which covers apparently New Year's and Christmas and multiple holidays. I just wouldn't feel comfortable.
But you got the Harry Connick Jr. soundtrack, which is great. And I just don't feel like Tim Allen has any place in Christmas.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to throw out a wild card here, which is Mixed Nuts, which was not well received at its time, but has since become a classic. He's written and directed by Nora Ephron. You got Steve Martin. You got Madeline Kahn. You got Anthony LaPaglia. You got, what's her name from all the Christopher Guest movies?
It's Catherine O'Hara. Is she in that?
Juliette Lewis is in it. Rita Wilson.
Okay.
Liv Schreiber. Adam Sandler's in it. Parker Posey is who I'm thinking of.
I remember liking Mixed Nuts, and I think it also has one of my favorite Christmas elements, which is
murder.
I was gonna say like a crisis hotline. Isn't there like a?
There is.
Yes.
Yeah, they all work for a crisis hotline, a nonprofit. So just throwing that out there.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I watched it in an era where I just wanted to watch anything Adam Sandler was in, which only just recently ended. I just capped it with Hubie Halloween. I'm ready to move on with my life. But, so I don't know if I always thought it was okay, but it was always a movie I just wished was funnier.
Yeah. There are lots of funny people in it that aren't funny in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It also plays "Oh Christmas Tree" way too many times.
Josh, what are you advocating to fill this spot?
I kind of want to go against Zach and with James and say I actually feel like the Santa Claus feels to me like on this list at least the obvious choice. I think we have a fundamental disagreement on what a Christmas movie is. I hear Zach, on like the spirit of a movie can be very Christmassy, well, not actually set at Christmas, but I think it's got to be a Christmas movie first, which is why I wouldn't advocate for something like Die Hard.
Gotcha.
Even though I love Die Hard. I think Santa Claus feels good to me. If it's not Santa Claus, it's Christmas with the Cranks. I think it's got to be Tim Allen. I'm on the exact. I think Tim Allen is Christmas.
Mr. Christmas.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen Jingle Jangle? It just came to Netflix within the last month.
The only Jingle Jangle I know is the Trader Joe's
Trader
one.
Joe's, great stuff. I'm
okay.
willing to back a movie just based on
Then
the quality of that.
I probably can't make a strong enough argument for it if neither of you have seen it, but I think it's going to become a Christmas classic, and it also has the extra layer of like it has a predominantly black cast, so it's like there's a whole swath of people that they don't get representation in these kind of movies, and so I think it's also really good, and it's fun.
Watch it. Hold on, can we pause this for 2 hours?
Yeah, sure.
So okay. Because I want to watch it now.
I would just watch. I would just recommend it anyway to anybody that's watching, because it's a very like also just charming and magical kind of Christmas movie too, and it's got great performances.
On the Netflix tier of Christmas movies, where does it fall with Christmas Chronicles 2?
It's much better than Christmas Chronicles 2.
Yeah, I know Christmas Chronicles and Christmas
Better than
Chronicles 2 did not make the list.
Did not. So we've got 4 minutes left to debate this.
I mean, again, I think just in terms of making a coalition? What is it when a bunch of politicians form a like-minded group, even though on different sides of the aisle? I think it's like a coalition.
Sure.
I feel like that we have a pretty strong coalition here between Josh and I and our sentiments on Christmas.
I mean, what if I filibuster this for the remainder of the podcast?
That we may see very strong, because the way Josh is describing it is probably where my votes are going to be leaning. Christmas movies, not movies that are Christmas-y, Christmas bear adjacent or whatever. I want Christmas movies. I will say the problem is Little Women is like a movie that you would watch around Christmas, but takes place across too much time. I'm afraid there's several holidays covered in that. They do good. The
coalition concurs.
There's too many people. There's too many people that go and then they die off by the time the movie's even over. You don't see any presents getting open, barely.
Christmas is a spirit, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about someone dressed as Santa. So I would say that either we don't go with the Santa Claus, or I just walk away from the rest of this podcast and you just film my empty room.
I'm with Zach. Give it to his stupid movie.
I mean, there are other movies here that are Christmas, like The Holiday is a Christmas.
It does
swap
take place
movie,
at Christmas,
right?
and it has the sentiment, as Zach was saying, the loneliness of a Christmas.
The loneliness. There's Black Christmas.
There needs to be more loneliness in this bracket. That's what Christmas means to me. Loneliness, despair.
If it wasn't such a nightmare to watch, The Polar Express is very much a Christmas movie.
Oh, yes. I wish that was a good film.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Do we need to take the other 2 minutes we have left, or can we decide and wrap this up now?
Are we just voting for one of those honorable mentions?
It sounds like the both of you are in the Santa Claus camp.
I think that since there is 1, 2, 3, 4 of us, that might be a majority.
Oh, we should warn you too with these brackets that oftentimes what happens is there's a tie, and then you have to coin flip to decide. The coin determines
decides.
which is the only way to be fair. So, yeah.
So you're going to gum this up, Elyse, by siding with Zach and sending this to a runoff?
No.
I don't think she is.
I don't think I am either. I don't even know what I would vote for.
Can
Abstain.
I say I do wish there was a really great Christmas horror movie that I don't really think exists right now.
I mean, there's Black Christmas, but it's not. And there's Krampus, but it's not.
Yeah, like there's
What
there's
about
a real
Halloween
hole here, guys.
5, The Revenge of Michael Myers? Christmas?
What about the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3?
All right, I think we've called it then.
So we voting?
It's the Santa
Called
Claus.
it. It goes with Ho Ho Jijo. If you guys remember that trailer It's also in the movie, but it's the only thing I remember from the trailer.
I don't remember.
The Santa Claus takes it. Okay.
The Santa
And I
Claus has
don't
been added to the bracket
All
as
right.
an honorable mention.
Now, moving on to the bracket. Where should we start, James?
I mean, probably top left, I guess.
Oh, this is gonna be
it's
dicey.
your bracket, so you can start wherever you want
All
to.
right,
If you
so
want to
now
just
the
get them
bracket was
mixed up.
built by a randomizer. James put all the titles in, and then it created the bracket. So we didn't do any kind of finagling to position any of these films against one another. This was just how it lies. The first two movies going head to head are White Christmas and How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
And this is the movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas,
No,
not the holiday special.
No, we don't touch that. We don't touch the movie. The movie does not exist. If
So
you're saying that Jim Carrey movie is going, I mean, if you're not including the special and you're saying the movie is what we're going with, then I could just zoom away right here.
You said that last time.
threatening to
You
zoom
said that
away.
last time about Santa Claus. And here you are.
This threat's becoming real hollow.
I could zoom away right now. I got a whole house behind me.
Should we do a separate bracket to determine which How the Grinch Stole Christmas
Christ.
we're gonna do? I was under the impression when I was posting in Wikipedia links, I did post for the Jim Carrey film featuring the song "Where Are You Christmas" and one of the loudest action sequences of all
So
time.
I did think it was the Jim Carrey one because it is a whirlwind performance from Jim Carrey.
I think there's a problem with this overall bracket, and
How
I
dare
think
you.
Zach pointed this out off camera that we have. I was under the impression this was going to be Christmas movies, and there are things on these brackets that have not honorable mentions that have somehow slipped through the cracks of this system
Now,
that are not feature films.
I would like to point out that I
Christmas
shared the list.
specials.
I shared all the list of films in the email chain that we had. At any
Read
point,
back my reply to that.
I would like to also add that a movie is
Read
a
it
movie,
back for the
and
court.
at no point were feature length theatrically released film part of the criteria. Merely
not.
movie. So if you're want to diminish all the hard work of the people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into a 12-minute animated short centered around Christmas, then by all means. But it shan't be me. Not on this of holidays.
thank you, James.
Thank
well
you,
said.
Elise.
Well said.
Okay, so this is the How the Grinch Stole Christmas Ron Howard feature.
Ron
length. That is-
Howard, yes.
Zach's face.
Ron Howard. The one that has Jim Carrey that does the smile real
The one
big.
we all watch every year.
The one we watch every year at max volume.
Max also being the name of his dog.
Can we tell that
We
quick
should.
story?
Yeah.
Just so the audience at home and watching live understands. When I was in my present Christmas gift depression on their couch, we put on the Grinch that night, and I went to bed. James was like, "Do you want me to turn this off?" And I said, "No, leave it on. I want to fall asleep to it. I want to rediscover the meaning of Christmas." So he goes to bed, but the volume's really low. So I fell asleep. I woke up like an hour later and was ready to turn it off, and I was fumbling with the remote, and it was right at the scene where, if you recall it, again, everyone watches this movie every
Everyone
Christmas,
recalls.
so you know.
Everyone knows.
There's a scene where he's wreaking havoc in the town. He crashes a
Uh-huh.
car into like a fire hydrant
It's called
or something.
Whoville, but
Whoville, yeah. And then it explodes. He runs away as a slow motion diving explosion. It was at this moment, fumbling with the remote, that I did not turn the program off, but in fact maxed out the volume. And so at 1 a.m. in the Williams apartment, just it's max volume explosion as the Grinch jumps. So, anyways,
and James and I
gave a
leapt
little-
from our bed thinking,
No, I was like, he really wanted to watch that scene. Because we were like only a few feet away with like one thin
he
door
wanted to
between
watch
us.
it as it was meant to be seen.
I was like, either he could sleep through this, which is amazing, or he really wanted to watch the scene. So, yeah.
So is that where your
Rose
vote
such a clatter.
is going?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about these
films.
movies.
Let's talk about
these.
these films.
So here's the thing, guys. I haven't seen White Christmas, but I read the Wikipedia and I really like the summary because it sounds like my life, right? It's a war hero. He comes back and he becomes big hat entertainer. That's me. That's like, this is if they made a soft
so
reboot. It
The premise-
I would like to add that, if that's part of the rationale, The Grinch is also Josh's life. Big, green, hairy thing spends most of its life in isolation at the top of a hill.
Okay.
Crashes into a town, dives slow motion out of the way of an explosion.
If you're watching or listening, you're unfamiliar with White Christmas 2. The premise is basically that Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby. They were performers before the war, but then they go to the war. Bing Crosby saves Danny Kaye's life. Danny Kaye then guilts him into doing an act with him after they return from the war.
You're getting these details wrong. Because I watched this movie last night, and these details are all wrong.
What is the detail that's wrong?
So Danny Kaye saves Bing Crosby.
What did I say?
You said Bing Crosby.
That was just a slip of.
It's the reverse.
Okay, that was just
and it's crucial.
That was just a slip. I misspoke.
They are not performers before the war.
They perform in the war together. They're doing shows for the other soldiers.
They don't perform in the war together. They don't perform in the war. Danny Kaye is an aspiring performer who writes a song and says, "I would like to do this as a duet with you."
And they do.
And then
during the fucking war.
No, after the war.
No. Anyway, so they come back, and then Danny Kaye's always pointing at his arm, which, he broke when he was saving Bing. And he's like, look, we got to do this. And so then oh God, it's been so long. It's been so long since I've seen it.
You never actually said what they got to do.
So they go to visit their old general. Is it general?
Their old general is like now.
He's running an
they go to Vermont.
He's running an Airbnb in Vermont.
They meet these performing sisters, and they want to
bang them.
Go to Vermont to hang out with the performing sisters, because Danny Kaye is always like, "Hey, Bing Crosby, you're too concerned with work. You need to get married and settle down." What? Oh, here's two women, and then they go to Vermont, and they realize that that's
not how it goes. The sisters aren't supposed to go to Vermont. They only go because they need to evade that guy.
Why don't we ask Josh? He read the wiki.
I read the Wikipedia. This all sounds pretty right. I think it's pretty close. There's definitely two women in it, and it all ends up happy. What you guys didn't clarify is which war. I'm going to assume it's the Gulf War we're talking about.
No. No.
But I believe it is World War II, in fact.
The good old days.
Movies from the 50s.
Yeah.
That's the gist. But
they go to Vermont, and there's been no snow this year.
There's been no snow, and the innkeeper is their general, right? Their old general, and the inn's not doing so well. And so Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye, as the consummate performers they're like, "Hey, let's put on a show, a big Christmas Eve show, and sing."
Yeah, we'll get all our pals out from the city to be in it.
Yeah.
So it's like Wayne's World 2.
And then
yes.
All of their friends from the New York performing scene, etc., they're all coming out there, and it's all these young hot people, and they're all banging in this bed and breakfast because they're all so young and hot and dancers. Everybody can put their legs up real high.
What?
They're young and hot, but everyone looks like they're 50, and I think some of them are.
Yeah. So they put on this show and they save the inn.
And it all takes place during Christmas.
I read the Wikipedia. I did not scroll all the way down to the reception section, critical response. So I don't. You're saying all this about the plot. Is it a good movie? I don't know.
Here's the thing.
I mean, it's a classic.
Not that great.
It's a classic. I mean, it spawned the song "White Christmas."
Yeah, and it's more just a feel good, and especially.
Think it did. I think White Christmas was recorded years
Zach.
Before.
It was the theme song. It plays over the end credits.
It's a feel-good movie, and also you're just watching it for spectacle, too, because it's musical number after musical number at a certain point.
This raises a bigger question. Are any of those old movies good?
Yes.
I got a lot to say about It's a Wonderful Life when we get to that.
Okay.
Well, that may be in a week or two.
Sees too much of himself in the character.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, guys. I think The Grinch is pretty good. Whether you think it's great, that's up to you. I can't sway you on that. But I do think in its favor, it's a movie that's way better than it should be.
Agreed.
I again, not this may become a thing, but agreeing with Josh, I do think it is pretty astounding. It's obvious, but it's also astounding how they managed to take such a short premise and turn it into a full-length movie by slotting things in.
Well, because the Grinch has so many good quips and lines.
Well, it is kind of perfect. Jim Carrey is the perfect casting because if you need him to like improvise or chew on a scene for a little while, get some runtime going, you can, and it's perfect. And I also think that one of the funniest Jim Carrey moments is in The Grinch, where he's so pissed off and he pulls the sheet away from the table and storms off, except that everything remains there. And he walks out and the camera waits, and then he comes back a second later and, and smashes everything off the table. That's some of the best Jim Carrey you can get. He's really fantastic in that movie. I think it has action sequences that play at max volume in the middle of the town. The major thing wrong with this movie is that no one stopped and said that child Grinch looks like a nightmare.
Yeah, Baby Grinch, yeah.
Baby Grinch is just a hideous nightmare. But other than that, I feel like it actually is fun. I guess thematic criticisms of the movie is that it does feel like most of the Who villains are completely corrupted by the idea of Christmas, as opposed to the original story, which is like they're so purely in love with what the true spirit of Christmas is that's what rubs off on him in a lot of ways. Whereas there's so much infighting and manipulation and like politicization of Christmas in that movie that it doesn't make Whoville seem like the perfect little Christmas haven that it's originally portrayed.
Well, that's the message, though, I think. Zach looks pissed.
Yeah. Conversely, I don't think it's a feat at all to take a 15-minute short story and turn it into a terrible hour and a half.
Oh my goodness, terrible. Wow, okay.
It's closer to 2 hours.
2 hours? Well, I think What?
Go ahead. I was gonna ask what are your primary criticisms of the Grinch film?
I think it's a bigger thing for me that the Who's down in Whoville just seem like people that I don't want to hang out with. Like the original, I was like, yeah, I get those Who's, and like it, but like it's just a bunch of assholes in the movie, a bunch of Joshes all worried about gifts.
I get that. I would say my counter to that is that me as a cynical adult maybe has an easier time watching it because it seems a little naive to assume that all those Who's are so perfect. I think at a certain point as a child, you're maybe reading The Grinch and then you're going, oh, this Grinch, he's so mean and he's like so whatever. As an adult, you watch The Grinch and you go, you know, this Grinch, he's got some justifiable criticisms of these people, and he's kind of cynical, kind of like me, but I guess maybe there is a world where I can try and find some of the good in the bad. Now, I think I learned from that more than pure black and white, good versus evil kind of thing. So while it may have been a thematic misstep, it ultimately was a misstep that allows me to relate to the movie a little bit more.
True.
Zach, thoughts?
I don't care. I abstain.
He's voting for White Christmas.
I'm voting for White Christmas, even though I didn't really particularly like it, because I think there are some important themes that, you know, Josh would be able to relate to if he'd seen the film. It's like, because the theme is, you know,
loneliness.
Can one man bang two women? These themes.
Well, that's not what it's about. You clearly haven't seen this movie. Like, there's a lot less fucking than you would think. But like one of the most important themes, I think, is that, you know, when people dedicate their lives to serving in the army, oftentimes when they're out, you know, whether they're celebrated as heroes or not, we forget about them and what, you know, their role in society, and we just sort of cast them to the side. And I think that's an important message, particularly these days. So I'm going for White Christmas.
Well, and
Even though
also,
there are odd sequences where just purple and green dancing.
Yeah.
I don't know who chose the color scheme. But
the Joker.
Yeah.
Also, to your
Does it
point,
do-
to your point, Zach, about that, just also the message that the general, he made such a big impact on people that he didn't even realize.
Yeah.
It's
it
like a wonderful
basically
message.
Steals It's a Wonderful Life, but like
Yeah.
it's an army, It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay. All right.
Should we vote?
Josh, you had something? Any final thoughts on this one?
It's tough because it's Wikipedia versus the Grinch. You know that song "Where Are You Christmas" holds a special place.
It does.
I agree with the coalition that
Coalition.
I don't think it's a thematic misstep of the Grinch. I just think it's a different. I think that's what's nice about the movie is that it's a different thing. It can be something that's not the short, and I like that it adds layers of depth. I think that's a good move. I think it would be boring
layers
if it
of
wasn't.
depth. You call that depth?
Let's vote.
All right. How do you
You
want to do
hairy
this? One
hollow
hand up, two
strumpet.
hands up.
We usually do on the show. We show fingers.
On
like,
the count of three, you either vote 1 for White Christmas or 2 for How the Grinch Stole Christmas. We do hands. 1 hand up for White Christmas, 2 hands up for How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Sure.
Is that fine? Is
Sure.
there something more Christmassy we could do? We don't have any. If we
No,
had,
I'm good with the hands.
if we had bells.
Good with the hands. So what are we? Which one is which?
1 hand up for White Christmas, 2 hands up for How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Do it on your count of 3.
1 hand for White Christmas, 2
Yep.
for the. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Count of 3.
Yep.
It's the toughest decision of my life. 1, 2, 3.
I can't see. Josh is.
Josh put 1 up.
Oh, Josh put
Wow.
1 up. Okay, White
You got
Christmas.
1. White Christmas takes
Zach,
the Grinch.
I'm the only one.
Zach,
Wow.
I think Zach sold it to me. That I had to think about it. And here's the thing: I don't think either of these movies are gonna win, like not by a mile. But I think I understand Zach's point, and I was able to be swayed.
I mean, luckily for us, we got a movie like White Christmas that came out in the 50s, and then we solved all of the issues we have with veterans then, and we haven't had to worry about it for the last 60, 70 years because of White Christmas. So
I think this is a good start.
this is a good start, and it's a great taste for what's to come with all of this, because we've already been doing this for 30 minutes, and we've
Yep.
gotten through one film, not counting honorable mention.
Earlier this year, more than 100 Twitter users got their accounts hacked into, passwords, emails, phone numbers. High-profile people hacked too. It's not just Twitter, it's Facebook, eBay, Uber, Adobe, all these different platforms. And if these high-profile people can get hacked, it's easy for the rest of us too. That's why we use ExpressVPN to safeguard our personal data online at Funhaus. According to recent reports, hackers can make up to $1,000 from selling information online. ExpressVPN is an app that funnels your data through a secure encrypted tunnel, so no matter what device you use, you can have peace of mind every time you use the internet. The app connects with just one click, it's lightning fast, and works on 5 devices simultaneously, so your whole family can be protected. If a breach can happen to powerful people, it can happen to even us little guys, too. So protect yourself with ExpressVPN, the VPN rated #1 by CNET, Wired, and countless others. And if you visit expressvpn.com/film right now, you can arm yourself with an extra 3 free months of ExpressVPN. That's 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. expressvpn.com/film. expressvpn.com/film to learn more. Thank you. Working in the film industry is an exciting and rewarding experience. If you know you want to be a part of it but don't know where to begin, you should check out Full Sail University, where you can learn all aspects of filmmaking and cinematography, either on campus or online. Full Sail's film bachelor's degree program immerses you in the world of filmmaking from every angle. You'll gain hands-on experience while learning what it's like to work on a large-scale production from start to finish, giving you a feel for the role each crew member plays and allowing you to specialize in the ones where your strengths and interests lies. That's very important because you can figure out what you want to do and then make that happen. The digital cinematography online bachelor's degree program merges the artistic concepts of traditional filmmaking with the technical tools used in everything from documentary filmmaking to commercial production and web video, preparing you to be a jack of all trades in small crew productions, which, coming from the internet, Let me tell you, it's pretty important. These degrees are offered in an accelerated format to get you into the field faster. With hands-on projects, industry-experienced faculty, and professional equipment and sets, you'll be prepared to pursue your passion. Full Sail grads have gone on to work in some pretty incredible films and TV shows like Disney's Mulan, The Boys, Mandalorian, just to name a few. If you want to find out more about these film programs and how to get started, visit fullsail.edu/filmhouse. That's fullsail.edu/filmhouse, FILMHAUS. Next up in the bracket, we have Jingle All the Way.
I'm ready to vote.
And versus Gremlins. Jingle All the Way versus Gremlins.
Okay.
Josh's face is not instilling me with confidence here.
There's a weird thing happening here where, again, I mean, if we're talking about thematic Christmas movies, I just rewatched Gremlins 2 nights ago. Gremlins is to me is not a Christmas movie. It is, as we've discussed earlier, it is a movie set at Christmas, but has very little to actually do with Christmas. I think it's a much better movie than Jingle All the Way, but I think Jingle All the Way is much more on target for what we are discussing. So,
James.
Yeah.
I know that Jingle All the Way is one of your favorites.
It's one of my favorites.
So I watched it for the first time last night.
Yep.
And I think that my opinion of you has drastically lowered as a human being because of your love for Jingle All the Way.
Okay.
And I wasn't like up here to begin with. So it's just,
I mean, percentage-wise, I'm fine with that.
And it is such a cynical film, like, and it like the whole fighting Santas and just like I feel like it was a '90s movie that sort of like when we were all in our '90s bubble of our Starbucks and our fancy mega store Barnes and Nobles. It's like you got mail from me. Just like, okay, this is what peak American capitalism looks like, and we got the shitty Anakin Skywalker here, who's not as bad in Jingle All the Way as he is in Episode 1. But
he's still rough. It's still a rough.
Still rough.
And you're still criticizing a child. But go on.
But it's like that's his job, is to be a good, adorable kid
child.
in that movie. But I think I just didn't really get any Christmas spirit from that film.
So,
and
go ahead.
Well, and I just thought, like, when you start getting a bunch of Santas beating Arnold Schwarzenegger up, it's like, if I was a kid watching this, I would be confused and upset to see one of my greatest heroes, beating up the Terminator.
Oh, I thought it was.
Oh wait,
flip.
so
vice versa.
Because when James was a kid, one of his greatest heroes was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
So he really wanted him to fuck up those Santas.
Yeah, it is interesting that you were when you were using the term hero, you were using it to describe the Big Show, which I understand, but. Okay, so
typically a heel.
Santa Claus was your hero, and you did not like seeing him fighting Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I hear you, and I would counter that. Number one, in terms of Christmas movies, maybe this speaks more to me. I think that a certain cynicism of the holiday is necessary. Otherwise, you just seem pretty naive about what it actually is. I think that one of my favorite descriptions of Christmas is from Frank Costanza when he's describing when he thought of Festivus, and he was going to get George a doll, and he and another man reached up for it on the shelf at the same time, and then as he was raining blows down upon that man, he thought there had to be a better way. I always loved that idea of like, I like when people see Christmas for what it actually is, which is this
consumerism. It's
this consumerism. It is big stores. It's huge sales. It's all this stuff. Like, at least that's what it has been for the last probably 40, 50 years or something. Like, it has been this super commercialized product.
Not true.
And I feel like it is, and I would rather a movie show that than hide behind a veil. And I think Jingle All the Way to me is for Christmas what Starship Troopers is for the militarization of like
Wow.
I think it's a satire that runs so close to the line that you think it just misses the mark, but I think it's fully aware of it. One of my favorite things that I say about Jingle All the Way is it's the story of a upper middle class white man.
He says this.
An upper middle class white man and a lower middle class black man trying to achieve the exact same goal. And at the end of that movie, the white man is held up on the shoulders of his community, celebrated as a literal and figurative hero, and the black man is sent to jail.
He's vilified. Yeah. Though they are essentially doing the same thing.
Though they are essentially doing the exact same thing with the exact same disregard for,
so there's a commentary
for the society
there. There's a big commentary there.
And there is a fantastic commentary there, and I don't feel like any of the other films on this list really tackle that issue as well as Jingle All the Way.
That socio-political aspect, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Josh?
don't you think?
Allow me to rephrase what I said earlier, because I like Jingle All the Way. I don't want you to think I don't like Jingle. I actually really do. I liked it as a kid. No, I think when I was comparing it to Gremlins, it maybe came off that I did not like Jingle All the Way. I'm just saying between those two movies, I think Gremlins is a better film. Okay. But I do like Jingle All the Way. I think it's I feel the need. I agree. I agree with the coalition.
You didn't last time. You voted against the coalition last time.
I know.
The coalition is broken.
I was swayed by the opposition. It won't happen again. Let me clarify my gift giving thing once too, because I agree. I think the holidays have become too consumers. That's not my thing. My thing is not to go buy everyone big crazy stuff. Whatever. I like gifts. Finding. Right, I like finding people the thoughtful, perfect gift, because I enjoy I siphon joy from their joy if you can give someone something, especially if it's the thing they're not expecting, right? And so in terms of chasing, I believe the Jingle All the Way is based on the writer's experience trying to get a Buzz Lightyear figure.
Randy Cornfield, written by Randy Cornfield.
Was it?
It seems like that's an Alan Smithy name. Someone who didn't want to take credit for.
Yeah, to the audience that's unfamiliar, an Alan Smithy is when you don't want to put your name on a script or a project, so you come up with a pseudonym. Or Alan Smithy was the name that got used.
So I don't know. I also think it's a relatable movie per what James is saying in terms of like, because as a kid, I knew my mom did this in the 90s. I knew she would chase, I think Power Rangers was the biggest one where I knew she was just going out. I think we're in a slightly different era. I'd be curious if this is still such a thing because the online world makes it so much easier to get. I mean, you still got to rush and get your PS5 reserved or whatever, but it doesn't feel like quite the insane stampede that it used to be like calling Walmarts to
for
see
a Tickle
what
Me
they've
Elmo.
got. Yeah. I know James also has a tour of the Shuttlesore, which I also have.
I don't think I have. I have Titanus. I have Titanus. I don't think I have.
I remember 15 years ago, Josh, that you hoarded PS3s thinking that you were going to get rich around.
Yeah, you said, I quote, "I'm going to build a Chappie."
Turns out you need PS4s to make a Chappie.
Yeah, they didn't have the technology.
That is true. I wasn't going to get rich, you piece of garbage. I was trying to fund a short, and I thought, well, what's an easy way to do this? So yeah, I don't
want to hear your dirty laundry. We're focused on the bracket here.
You were the Santa Clauses in the warehouse.
Oh God.
Hoarding the knockoff.
Yeah. Yo soy Turbo Man.
Yeah.
Turbo. But here's the thing, Zach. I learned my lesson quick because no one wanted a PS3 that Christmas. They all wanted Wii's. And so I got what I deserved, okay? You have me.
Has a closet
I didn't want to know any
PS3s.
about. I didn't want to know about this.
And several copies of the game Lair as well. You couldn't get rid of.
I got Daikatana. I got a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, I only got like 2 PS3s for what it's worth. I did not have a warehouse. I had literally 2 of them. And I ended up just taking them back to the store.
All right.
So hold on. What does this have to do? So
Gremlins is definitely a better movie. Gremlins is definitely a better movie. I agree with what was expressed earlier that it does not inherently have a Christmas spirit. It's merely just the setting for it. But I will say Jingle All the Way, the spirit of that movie isn't exactly your warm and fuzzy Christmas film either. So it's
I would
kind of
ask
comparing,
James-
you know.
It's not your theme of Christmas.
Sure,
But I
Mike.
do think it was an accurate theme of Christmas. I think it is naive to say that Christmas is only about Josh's goodwill and wanting to see the face a face on a bright young James Willems' eyes
Yeah.
light up when Jake the
I
Snake
can only
Roberts
do
wishes
so
him well.
much. I
Yeah.
can only do so much. So there have to be other ideas of Christmas because I can't supply.
I still think that there's a lot of this world, most of this world, that tries to capitalize on Christmas in a way that it's the vast majority not unlike this very podcast.
I think we should vote.
I feel like we should say more about Gremlins, but okay.
I have one question for you, James, before we vote.
Okay,
Do you
I
think
refuse to answer.
that the social commentary of Jingle All the Way was intentional social commentary or just racism at the time?
That's a great question, Zach.
I say if you can learn from it, what's the difference?
I think it was the latter.
Okay, so I'm voting for Gremlins because I love Phoebe Cates and I miss her, and I think she was a magical actress. And I just didn't get that feeling in my heart.
No Phoebe Cates and
watching
Jingle All the
Jingle
Way.
All the
You're
Way.
right. It does have Rita Wilson though, also a magical actress,
Yeah, she was great.
and Phil Hartman in one of
Yeah.
his
Phil
last
Hartman!
roles.
It does have
Phil
Hartman.
Hartman was Well, Small Soldiers was after that.
One of his last roles. Oh, listen, if we could have put Small Soldiers on the list, I would have.
All right, so it's gonna.
I did enjoy Phil Hartman a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling. I mean, I know the coalition votes unified and strong.
No, we never have, in fact.
But I have a feeling we might get an opportunity to talk about Gremlins in the future.
Coalition's working out the kinks.
So let's
but yeah.
vote.
All right.
1 for Jingle All the Way, 2 for Gremlins.
Okay, on 3.
All right, yeah, you can count us.
1, 2, 3. Oh, it's a tie.
No, it's a tie.
It's a tie.
It's
Oh
going to a
no,
runoff.
The coalition.
coin.
Coin flip. This is the most satisfying thing
All right.
about.
It's going to be heads for Jingle All the Way, tails for Gremlins.
Come on, baby. This is the only way to decide. Jingle All the Way.
No.
Takes it.
Yeah.
Easy as pie.
No.
The fate's
Because
determined.
you used a piece of money to determine it.
That's
And
true. Thank
that's
you,
a
Josh. You're
commentary.
right.
So, man, Gremlins is really dark though. There's a Phoebe Cates line where she's talking about how all the people that killed themselves around Christmas, and like she's like, some people are opening presents and
Yeah.
other people are opening their wrists.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, damn, Spielberg,
Yes.
you crazy.
Yeah. It is wild.
It's great.
I think because we rewatched Gremlins the other day, and I think we like looked at each other. When she said,
Well, I mean, when she does the whole, where she's like, all right, I'll tell you in this bank why I don't like Christmas. That's why I think Gremlins 2 is so good, because Gremlins 2 takes all those moments from Gremlins 1 and then makes fun of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only movie that it's a parody of itself. Gremlins 2. I love Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
We should do a best sequels bracket. All right. Just so you know, we are about 45 minutes in.
Let's do one more. Okay, so our next bracket, It's a Wonderful Life, classic, versus National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Ooh, Josh already with the hesitation there from its one.
Is that,
This
Josh?
is so easy. This is National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. Easy choice.
So you-
what are you going?
hang on a second there. Slow down. We're moving along fast. Well, I think we should weigh our options.
the old picture show. We have to watch the pictures.
It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, it's about to get voted out this fucking bracket.
Very nice.
If fucking A Wonderful Life wins this, I'm out of here. I'm rolling on.
I want to hear
wanna
Zach
hear
make
Zach.
his
Go
case
empty
for
screen.
it. I want to hear Zach make his case for it.
No, I think that, you know, for all the problems you can point out with It's a Wonderful Life, I just love the idea that kindness matters and a simple life matters. And I love that, you know, we spend the first half of the movie getting to know this character and seeing all of the things that he and Mary is the hero of It's a Wonderful Life. I think we can all agree on that because she has to put up with so much shit from George. And does such amazing things and holds down the fort while George is going insane.
In spite of it all.
In spite of him. But I think it's for me, I was like, when I was younger, I was like, I want to live a life like George Bailey and just do simple things that are good in my community, and that's worthy. And I think it's a movie that I can watch and be like, oh, okay, this is how I recenter myself. And I think it's also important that it acknowledges the darkness around Christmas and the pressure that people are feeling. I feel like it's an important Christmas movie in a pandemic because a lot of people are struggling in ways that, the Baileys are struggling. And also, isn't Donna Reed the most, gorgeous woman you've ever seen?
She is.
And, I kind of look at him and I'm like, dude, you got a great family. You still have these things. As I watch that movie, I'm sort of like, I'm glad that he gets to that place in the end where he realizes that his family is so important. Because I was saying that all along. And I love watching their little love story and that scene where, George is a kid and he's working at the pharmacy. The old man gets the thing. I choke up multiple times. So I if Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase and Randy Quaid beats out It's a Wonderful Life, I'm not just rolling out of here.
I want to. So
wait, you're not just rolling out there. What are you gonna do?
I'm not just rolling out of here. I'm gonna leave the chat and never come back. I don't know. I didn't really have a thing.
Okay.
I didn't have a second half to the sentence.
I thought, oh well, James, cut Zach off. I want to hear what Zach had to say, but clearly it was not worth the time.
My favorite part of It's a Wonderful Life, because I actually do appreciate it. I'd say this is an interesting categorization because I think these are two very Christmas movies where the season can cause a lot of stress and a lot of pain and a lot of headache, and sometimes you have to stop and really take an inventory of all the good things you have in your life to appreciate it. And the Christmas is a perfect time to do that because you're surrounded by the people that you care about and the people that care about you. Yada, yada, yada. I love the scene when everything seems like it's going to work out until he finds out that Mary is unwed at the age of 23. And he's like, what's going on? I'm wed at 23. I got to go back and change this.
It's the worst. She's a librarian.
Yeah. What do you mean she is not married?
She's wearing glasses.
Oh, look at her. She's walking down the street at 9 p.m. Not a husband in sight.
Now you're Harry Carey.
It's like it is funny watching the movie because it doesn't click for him how bad things are until he sees her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pursuing a career
she's wearing a hat.
Oh, her eggs are gonna dry out. Anyway. I do. So again, I get what you're saying, Zach, and I feel like this is going to be a trend. You being a very kind-hearted,
Zach sees the great theme and messaging and everything.
Beauty in it versus potentially the Coalition, which is maybe a little bit more cynical.
The Coalition is NWO.
The things Josh and I have seen, maybe have shaped our worldview to be maybe a little bit more challenging than Zach's.
I'm going to give Zach some support here because he is completely right about the messaging of this film, the internalization, and it's something I think also, I like the idea that people can change, that someone can look within and then say, I can be different and I can evolve. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that currently in our culture, people do not want to let happen.
Like when Chevy Chase looks out the window and sees that chick getting naked in his pool that he wants. And he goes, I could change my pants right now.
And that it's never too late to try to be the type of person that you want to become is a great messaging. That being said, fuck National Lampoon, Christmas Vacation, all those movies, they saved Chevy Chase's career because he was just doing unlikable after unlikable character movie.
Is that a good thing though?
I mean, I don't know because he's notoriously disliked, I should say. But man, that those movies, and it's funny because like for me, it's kind of the only time where I like Clark Griswold is like the only Chevy Chase that I do like.
Yeah.
And it's different messaging, I think, in the terms of the appreciate your family aspect, you know, because in Christmas Vacation, he's just completely flummoxed and overwhelmed by his family.
But they are also far more dysfunctional.
They are very dysfunctional.
They are like at night. Imagine basically the pitch is right. Imagine the worst Christmas with family you could possibly imagine.
Would you say
there.
Clark Griswold is the modern George Bailey? And saving the house is the pool.
I think. I mean,
the pool bonus.
But George Bailey. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like he just doesn't realize how important he is. Right? Like it's not like he's a dick. He's still like, we gotta get to the bank and like help the people. Like
he does, like Zach was saying earlier, he does completely. He isn't, you know, to his wife what he should be.
No, but he's not to himself what he
to her for a substantial portion of the movie. Like they have chemistry, but like he doesn't. Like, he wants to go on some trip. My favorite scene in It's a Wonderful Life is when he supposedly is just graduating college, and he's clearly a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
But to balance it out,
yeah.
They cast 90-year-old parents, and they're like, "Son, you're going off," but like, you really get to understand like why he is the way he is. Like he's somebody with big aspirations, but when you have Mary in front of you, you just like that's a different type of life. And it takes him. I'm sorry, I'm spitting everywhere because I'm so passionate about this. But yeah, I think he is. He's borderline abusive for some of the film, I would say, at least emotionally, I think.
I want to hear Josh, because I feel like Josh had some words. He was loading some ammunition into the gun.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what Josh has to say.
Let's start with Wonderful Life. So the first of all, you know, this is a small thing, but terrible time travel logic. Can I just point that out? Because there's the whole thing where is it his brother who dies if he didn't save him? At the but then what are the odds that if he'd never existed to begin with, that his brother even would have been ice skating that day? Like probably zero, right?
Okay,
this is no 12 Monkeys. I'll say that in terms
fair.
of like no one sat down and thought these timelines through.
12 Monkeys being the last movie that the four of us watched together in person.
That's true.
I should provide that context for the audience.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, we watched 12 Monkeys.
That was the last movie we all saw together.
It was at the beginning of the pandemic.
It was on the cusp.
Like a week before everything shut down.
Yeah.
So that's frustrating. Somebody didn't sit down and write that out and consider the butterfly effects. I think of George Bailey actually not being there. Probably could have been a whole different town. Here's the thing. I like the dark elements of It's a Wonderful Life. I also like that everyone seems to forget how dark it is because the whole movie is darkness. I feel like for me, there's so much. The themes are fine. I think it's really frustrating though that he is, you know, he has these ambitions. And while Zach says this kept him grounded, Zach himself went on to be a Hollywood elite. Let me point this out. Zach did not stay in his hometown and marry a librarian. No, he went straight to Hollywood. So
I would marry any librarian who offered. Right now, if there are librarians in the comments who want to propose, the answer is yes.
So I just want to say George Bailey's
Zach was
life
on
is
Oprah. Yeah, what,
was.
Zach? What
He
the
knows-
fuck are you
Yeah,
talking
come on,
about,
Zach.
George Bailey?
Yeah.
He
Live
likes
a
to look
simple
down.
life.
He looks down on these things.
Yeah.
That's what the
It's
elites
easy.
do. They fantasize about their small
say-
town life.
Yeah, he goes, you should be pacified with the librarian. I know.
Yeah,
what
it's
Zach
us, the
gave.
proletariat.
So
That's
Yeah.
not it at all. But if I could make the case in terms of like Funhaus and YouTube videos, right? Like
Okay.
there are probably
Something we'll
times
understand. Our simple
where
minds.
where you're like, there are probably times where you're like, what we do doesn't matter. We've been talking about Christmas movies for over an hour, and we said we were going to keep it to a half hour.
45 minutes.
And
Go on.
we're wasting our lives. We're mid-30s. We haven't accomplished
Haven't
much.
said all that, but go on.
But I would say this. There is somebody watching this video right now
FBI.
on the loneliest night of their life, right? And because we're having fun talking about these Christmas movies, we're yelling about the Grinch, that joy that we give to people just by doing what we do is going to make a difference to somebody. And that matters. And that's what It's a Wonderful Life is all about.
Much
You
like how
don't know
Clark
the-
said, if I can get these Christmas lights working, my family will see that I care about them.
and remember when Randy Quaid emptied the stuff into the sewer and it smelled like farts?
Yeah, so for all those things.
I think we're ready to vote. No,
Are we?
Can I
Go ahead.
finish my?
Go,
May
Josh.
I finish? May I finish? Coalition. May I finish?
You get 4. I've conceded my time to Josh.
I think I just personally I find I don't know it's a depressing movie even in kind of the outcome because even the problems that he has to solve that George Bailey has to solve aren't things that are his fault, like the guy losing the money, and
But
getting
that's
scammed.
life, man.
Like it's just not like it all falls on him for just having like the worst luck ever, and the fact that he has to be the sacrificial lamb for everybody else where it feels like everyone else around him does, is it his brother who like travels and does all the stuff, like he's deployed or something, and I it's been a little while since I've seen it, to be fair, but I just remember thinking at the end it felt like everyone around him kind of got to do exactly what they wanted, and he was the only one that didn't, and like that makes me sad. It makes me sad that he couldn't find some way to do a little traveling or whatever
make
else.
me sad, too.
It's so I don't know that I agree 100% with the end of it. It's like I don't think you should, because the end of it is almost trying to say like none of this other stuff matters if you have family. It's like, well, you could have a balance.
Well,
like
he's
there could be.
He's still in his 40s when the movie ends. It's not like he can't travel. It's not like, here's the thing. I think like you want the ending of like him going off and traveling or doing whatever he wants to do, but that's not life, and you still have to find joy in whatever life gives you, right? Or you like, because it doesn't have to be a perfect life. It's just a wonderful life, right? That's the name of the movie. It's not a perfect life, Josh.
I just walk away, and not just at the sad parts where he's gonna jump off the bridge or something. Just I walk away from that movie a little sad every time.
Yeah.
and that's and I think that's fine. I think it teaches you stuff. Like I think that's all good.
I think conversely, though, that there are people that can travel the world and have all those experiences and still be, unbearably unhappy. And at least it's teaching him to live an examined life and take stock of what he has, like Zach's saying.
Sure. That's great. I don't hate the movie. I still think it's a good movie. And
You're not going to convince Josh that traveling is off the table.
We gotta vote. We gotta vote.
I'm
guys.
having weird days.
By proxy, I really do think that we're underrated. I mean, I know we joked about Christmas Vacation thing, but I think it's actually an extraordinarily well put together
I agree.
movie. It's consistently funny, and I think it has a big heart, especially like you said with someone like Chevy Chase, who is often like a really unlikable person. I think it does a great job of empathizing with the family holiday, and even it has these really nice sweet moments of like him being stuck in the attic watching old footage from his old Christmases sledding as a child, and he just wants his kids to have these amazing Christmases that he remembers, and that's a really nice sweet thought, and I think that's not given enough credit.
Well, I might not be able to travel the world, but Mary, how do you feel about anal?
Oh God, I have a
That's
really
my favorite line from the movie.
I still just have such a hard time with Chevy Chase. Just hearing
Well, we gotta vote. We gotta vote on
the way he treated Amy Heckerling.
No, you're right. But,
Okay.
He's a dick,
there's a lot
but
of
I mean,
movies.
I would say we could dissect all of this.
Okay.
Jimmy Stewart, notorious
All
asshole.
right. So it's going to be a 1 for It's a Wonderful Life, 2 for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. James, count us down.
I'm not even sure. I'm sure. All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God! It goes to the coin.
Oh no.
The coin flip. All right.
I guess heads for Wonderful Life, tails for National Lampoon.
It's spinning. Oh,
Heads.
It's a Wonderful Life. Gets it
Thank God.
purely
That's a
through
mistake. Well,
randomization.
this has been real fucking fun.
Oh, he's zooming out.
Oh no!
He's zooming out. Oh, Josh, come back.
He cashed the check I wrote.
He abandoned the coalition fast. No loyalty.
Mm-hmm. That's an hour.
That's too bad. I would have had. I'm telling you, Christmas Vacation would have probably made it to the last round for me. So that's a shame.
Well, so concludes the first episode of our holiday movie bracket. The ones that have stayed: White Christmas, Jingle All the Way, It's a Wonderful Life, and of course the Santa Claus. Dark
Did we ever
Horse.
go through and say all? We've never said what all was in the bracket. So
I haven't.
You should do
Ooh,
a count of
shoot.
what is yet to
Yeah,
come.
here's what's left. So we've got Scrooged and Elf, Love Actually, Santa Claus, of course, A Muppet Christmas Carol, A Christmas Story, Charlie Brown Christmas, Nightmare Before Christmas, Home Alone, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a long way to go. We got through only a few, but we have 2 more weeks of this to go, and we hope you stick with us. Zach, I'm glad you haven't left yet.
I'm not gonna be here next time.
Okay, well, we'll just...
How am I supposed to schedule next week and the following week?
Can you guys shout out where people can follow you online?
On the web. On the web.
All right. Look for Zach.
At Zach Anner, and also on
Zach Anner.
his YouTube, because he's doing some cool tech reviews now.
Mm-hmm.
Check out this cool Christmas book, A Night in Halloween House by Elyse Williams.
And Josh, where can people find
Perfect
you?
stocking stuffer.
I'm at Josh the Flanagan, on everything. So I don't have anything to plug. I'm just work. Oh, wait, well, you got Dead Little Roosters coming
Yeah.
soon.
Mhm.
Rooster Teeth, that's not true. That's right around the corner. Sooner than you think. Actually, but wait, when does this video come out?
It's tagline sooner than you think.
Not sure of the date. Probably close enough that it's okay
This
to
will be
mention
out this Saturday, the 4th?
Okay, I can't say yet,
Oh,
but I
this
will say
Saturday?
within
5th?
Oh my God, they gotta get editing this.
we will. There's a big info dump coming a few days after this video launches. So, and I do mean dump because that's it. That's the end of the joke.
Like Randy Quaid.
Yep.
Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you next week.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.